Alright, I've got some fine solid core wire here. I forget what gauge it is. It's pretty small. It might be 24, 22 gauge, something like that. And you'll see that I stripped quite a bit of the insulation off of the wire. It's actually about a quarter inch or so, maybe 3/4 of an inch. And so then what I do is I take a very tiny drill bit. I don't know what the size of this one is, but very, very tiny drill bit, just slightly larger than the diameter of the wire, and put it in my Dremel. And I don't think this is going to pick this up here, but I drill a small hole into the bottom of each rail, right in the center, right in the web of the rail. Sometimes, like it did on the far rail there, the drill bit shifted over a little bit and cut through the side, but that's okay. It's on the bottom of the rail, and it's nowhere to be seen, and I've had that happen before. All I do is take a nice little jeweler's file and file the whole thing smooth when I'm done. So that's not a file. I'll do one around here somewhere. And so yes, that's all I do. And so I'll put this vertically, put the wire vertically into the bottom of the rail, like so, and then solder it onto the rail. And so then all that is, you'll see between the rail and the baseboard is a thin little piece of wire which will disappear. You'll never see it. I have one installed over here. I don't even know if that'll pick that up. Yeah, it will. So you can barely see on the one in the background here. I'll point it out with the drill. Right there. You can kind of see that all you'll see is a little bit of wear. Now that one has a big kink in it. Normally they don't. Normally it just comes straight down. But this one, I had to solder a little bit to the bottom of the rail because of the way I used a different drill bit, and it carved up the bottom of the rail pretty bad, so I had to put a little bend in it, but normally I don't have to. And so that, even with that bend in it, that is a heck of a lot better than a big thick piece of braided copper wire coming up and laying across for about a half, 3/4 or to an inch along the side of the rail with giant blobs of solder all over it. It sticks out a mile away. I'd much rather have this hidden, and it's plenty to carry the current. I've had some fellow modelers tell me that, they like to use bigger wire for the feeder wires. Well, I just use little 4 or 5 inch drops of these connected to a really thick, like a 14 gauge bus wire. And so the short little section doesn't doesn't have that much resistance, doesn't drop any voltage or amperage or anything. In fact, if you look at the inside of a locomotive, the final 2 wires that go to the motor from the DCC decoder are a lot smaller than these wires, and they manage to carry enough current to the motor, which is where all of this current all through your layout is eventually ending up, right? So no problem there, no worries, it'll work. All right, and I'm gonna keep installing this. I've just glued the base of the engine shed to the baseboards here, and I used canopy glue all the way around. It'll dry nice and clear, and hopefully it'll have a little bit of flex as I move this around, but when I flip it over to do the wiring on the other side, the engine shed won't drop off on the floor and smash into a million pieces. That's my hope anyway. Already had a fatality on the crane today. The cab fell off when I moved it and it dropped down, and yeah, so I'm gonna have to adjust. That's okay. re-glue the cab onto the side rails of the crane, and all will be okay. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna get busy on this, get the other track connected up. And this first track, the closest one here, I'm actually gonna throw a DP-DT switch on there and use that as my programming track as well. So it'll be nice and handy right at the front of the layout. Alrighty. You guys have a great time, and I will be back soon with another update.